If everybody could find their seat, we're about to get started.
Your city, I'm a prosecutor. I'm going to do a tip. Your city's going to catch on. We used to always say in the old days, 10 more years for everything. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's like New York City for you. It's,
Okay, we're going to call to order the meeting of the Walton County Tourist Development Council. Councilwoman Hafner has agreed to give our invocation and lead the pledge. Please stand.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for bringing us here all together. Father, please guide us and direct us as we make the best decisions for our community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, I think our first item of business, Matt, do we want to go back to normal agenda now that our quorum is all here? Perfect. Okay, has everybody had a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting?
Just one comment, the date is incorrect. If they want to edit that later on,
Can you turn on real quick? Or do,
Just one comment, the date has the incorrect year on that. It says December 4th, 2026, so maybe just edit that after the fact.
okay, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
And with that, we'll have Ms. Summer Alford come forward with the financial report. Good morning.
For the month of October, total TDT expenditures amounted to $762,024. For the month of November, expenditures amounted to $1,734,820. Moving to the budget report. Year-to-date actual expenditures totaled $7,819,223. Total revenue for the month of October, including interest and collections, is $4,974,679. Total revenue for the month of November is $2,674,965. TDT collections for the South Walton District for the current year equals $6,697,823. TDT collections for North Walton District for this year equaled $48,448. Reserve for the period amount to $169,477,076. This leaves an unassigned fund balance after deductions for projects, encumbrances, and beach renourishment of $49,636,180. I now respectfully request approval of financial reports.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I'm sure, Barbara, come on up.
Good morning, Barbara Morano. I want to thank for the lady for the financial report. I just had a question on the Henry Park Visitor Center, if you could look down on that. That cost was $100,000. Did that come out of North Walton TDT funds?
Yes,
And
it did.
Is it showing that, you know, when you go up there to see what's left of the funds, it still seems to say it's still there? I don't know. Is there some way of showing that that 100,000 was deducted? Was it from this year's funds or last year's funds? TDTs?
I can't find the report on our,
This is North Walton, it shows a $100,000 difference in revised budget versus encumbrance. Is that the $100,000 coming out of it? It looks like it's on there.
Summer, can you come back up and speak to that? Thank you. It looks like it's on here,
Okay.
but,
It looks to us that the $100,000 is showing deducted. Under revised budget minus, if you look at encumbrances, there's a $100,000 difference on Summer's sheet, on the spreadsheet.
Okay, I don't see that, but my next question is, just to be sure, the balance in our reserves is $49 million then? That's what we're looking at for balance of reserves? Okay, thank you.
Can you show the, the
Can you pull that back up?
expenditure spreadsheet that's on our, that we can see, just to show Ms. Morano? Okay, if you see Ms. Morano on the bottom line, North Walton TDT, it shows revised budget and then encumbrance, there's $100,000 difference in that. Do you see that?
Can you come back to the podium, or we can tell you, Barbara, on the bottom line, the North Walton TDT, the revised budget has the 352, 321, and then the encumbrance, after there's a
Okay, so
$100,000 difference?
You're looking on this sheet then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, so I see it. All right,
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
okay, moving on to new business. Request TDC recommendation to reimburse Walton County Sheriff's Office for beach safety expenditures. Matt, you want to come up and speak to that? Very standard, it is approved in the budget.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning.
So this is a part of the monies that you all had allocated for in the budget, the $4.42 million that we had set aside for beach safety for the sheriff or code. So this is allowable. This is what we put the money there for, but we do have representatives from the sheriff's office here if anybody has any questions on that. So we would just ask for a recommendation to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Ms. Kelly.
Good morning, everyone. Kelly Carter, Director of Marketing. So, in your packet, which other page? As outlined in your packet, I'm requesting the use of a portion of our reserves to continue building the authentic Walton brand. Since the creation of the taxing district north of Choctawhatchee Bay, the team has built the brand from the ground up. It was a baby, did not exist, so we had to start somewhere. Using research-based practices that have shown awareness comes first, and that's what we've been doing. So in the past, all of the funds that we have collected through the Authentic Walton TDT have been used responsibly to establish the foundation of the brand. That includes the website. We've created a visitor guide. We've done some photography, not a lot. We've tried to piggyback on anything we were doing already and kind of incorporate that in there as well. We've also created some small video assets where we could piggyback on anything we were already doing. Authentic Walton is still in such early stages, and we've reached the point where awareness is just no longer enough. We need to be a little more strategic. So this next investment that I'm asking for today kind of allows us to shift from just building the brand to growing it a little bit more. If we had, through additional research, including some focus groups and visitor insights, maybe we can better understand more about this visitor, what Authentic Walton means to them, and what they want from Authentic Walton. And maybe through additional visitor research, we would be able to evolve the brand moving forward into what it needs to be when it grows up, because now it's a baby. This research that I'm asking for as part of this funding will directly inform a more strategic media approach. It's not that we haven't been strategic in the past. We've been more about building awareness that Authentic Walton is a place that you can come and visit. So the goal is kind of to move beyond awareness. We still need to do awareness, but we need to do something more and kind of be able to drive more results. We want to also be able to create, now that we have something for leads, if we were to generate them, because now we have a visitor guide that we can send them if they're interested in. We have the website where they can go to. We want to try to increase that visitation, because if you looked at Summer's report over the past year, either TDT has been stagnant or it has been down, and that's even with the additional increase of the 1 cent. So with this we kind of have the foundational assets in place. We just need some more money to be able to build it forward and invest in this next phase that will allow us to grow. So basically, what I'm asking for when you look at this is some strategic money to be able to really focus on who the brand is and what visitors want from the brand, and how we can move forward and create some of these assets through a more strategic approach beyond just awareness. So that's kind of where I am. Questions?
Yes, Kelly. I'm wondering on photography and videography, 250,000. Does the TDC, are we using our local talent in Walton County with those funds?
We are using our agency talent that comes with that so that we don't have to pay anyone additional. The agency's already paid to do that. So the agency comes in and we do a strategic approach by allowing them to just video it and not
The
pay.
agency is,
Zender. So the Zender has photographers on staff so that we don't have to pay anyone additional. So we wouldn't pay anyone any additional money to do that. So since that's part of Zender's contract, we're allowed to just have them let us put together video shoots and photo shoots and not pay anyone additional for that.
okay, I was just curious, because we probably have some of the best talent in the world right here in Walton County.
And we do utilize that. So one of the ways that we utilize that is videography and photography that already exists. We reach out to photographers that are local here and already have shot photography, and we buy that from them as well. So we do, and that would be part of some of the things that we would do if there's any photography that we would be able to buy for Authentic Walton.
Well, as a bed tax collector, we need to generate revenue, so we can't take a chance on things. So we happen to not outsource any of our marketing. So if you get on the Ocean Reef website, look at the blogs, look at the pictures, look at the videos, look at the tours of all the properties. That's all done right here, and it's done by our staff. So having a creative staff helps.
Yes, sir.
And then we have a Chandler Williams, Modus Photography. He's world renowned. He's hired to do video or all over the world. Mark Little. And so I would just like to see us start redirecting all this money, and it's a ton of money, to people that are living and working here and have just five-star companies. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Can you just recap for us, what's the total in the North Walton Reserves right now?
So, yes, ma'am. The Henry Park, it was just finished, and we had put in $100,000 for that. It was only about $93,000, so there was a little bit left over. So the remaining available reserves is $808,000 plus a little. That's why I did two kind of investments. Again, one of the mindsets is use everything you can. I don't quite agree with that mindset. I'd like to have a little bit left over. So that's why I did the option B, which is very less aggressive. And I could even come down on that as well. This was just an initial request for some money so that we could move forward with some of these plans that we want to do, be more strategic on how we capture the assets of moving forward to actually be able to create more leads and be able to understand a little bit more about who the visitor is and talk to that visitor as well if possible.
Please.
Thank you, Amy. So on the option B, I feel like option A is going to use, just about everything we have, right? So I don't care for that. But the $200,000 for photography and videography, what's that going to get us? That seems like a lot of money. So
Okay, that's going to get us a brand shoot. So what we
Okay,
have,
okay.
that's going to be the complete brand shoot. That is going to be concepting. That's going to be going out with research and seeing who the visitor is, what the visitor wants, and that's going to give us
Okay.
a complete brand shoot of brand ads that we currently do not have, that we have for we have
Gotcha.
the South
Okay.
Walton family of brand
Makes
ads,
sense.
and we don't have that for Authentic Walton.
Okay.
Can you speak to the longevity of this campaign? Like, how evergreen will it be? How many years will this investment get us in?
At least 5, if not more. That is my plan, and that's why there's so much money to be spent to actually pull together what the resources are and who the people are and how we can move forward with this, because this is something that we've not done. Basically, the brand ads that we're using are just what we think people want, not what they've told us they want. So we want to go back and have some focus groups and research groups and show people what authentic Walton is and let them tell us what they would want to see in advertising that would make them want to come to authentic Walton.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And this would be a guideline. I don't have to use all $600,000 or all the money. This would just be a guideline of how I would spend the money. One of the things that I think is very important right now, Karen is actually at a travel and trade tour and travel trade show. She had very few assets to be able to sell that market to them. So we kind of had to figure out what we could. We went really old school with laminated photos and no video and all of this. And so if we want to get out and actually sell this as like travel and tour operators for stopover tours where people are going things and for RV tours and that sort of thing, we need some assets that Karen can actually take to travel shows. And this would create those assets that she would need in order to be able to sell the destination.
Any other questions for Kelly from the council? No, ma'am. Do we have, I think what I'm hearing, and I would echo, I am much more comfortable at the $600,000 level.
Same.
And so is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Second? Okay, public comment. Barbara, come on up.
And just clarify for the record, that is option B that's being approved,
Yes, sir.
as presented in the packet.
Yes, sir.
I want to bring value to what I'm saying, not negativity. We do not have a strategic plan yet for the TDC, right? We hired a consultant. I don't think the plan is in. When I think of authentic, I think something real. But what does that make South Walton? Non-authentic, fake. I think the term authentic is a problem. And that concerns me. If we look at 331 Highway, you can see that type of marketing uniting North Walton and South Walton. I also question, how did we get so much money in the reserves for North Walton? You can answer me that. What is Zender doing? We spend almost $12 million with Zender. That company's been with us since 2021. Have we ever gone out for another RFP on that company? No, we haven't. Spending this amount of money is a real concern for me. I did a deep dive. We spend $13 million for tourism marketing. We spend $894,000 in communication. Zender spends $323,000 in what they do. I have a whole list of what Zender does. The point, if you look at how we're marketing, we have 3 types of marketing. It's Walton County, it's South Walton, and authentic Walton. What is authentic Walton? I don't think we've ever done a deep dive, and I don't think $800,000 is going to get us there. And I don't think a poster on a Chicago subway is going to get people down here, or I don't think trips to New York is also going to get us down here. It's the visit that's really the most important, and Tim, you talked about that. I mean, we have the Summit on the Circle. That's not even being given any money or advertised. Sunbright Inn is doing a number of things. I don't see that anywhere. I pulled down the February activities. They're all in South Walton. I think the emphasis, and it's also on the website, that marketing should really be an event grant program is intended to support events that have the ability to guarantee economic impact and overnight stays in Walton County. It's the events that drive the economic diversity that we want. I don't think we should be spending all of this money in reserves. And my last question is, how did we get so many reserves in North Walton when they're only bringing in basically $200,000 to $300,000 in bed tax? Can someone answer me on that? And also, our reserves were always supposed to be, if, in case we had a hurricane, to pay everyone's salary.
It's North Walton Reserves, Barbara, and we can certainly, Summer, can you come up and speak? We've been to,
I think Matt has a few
Oh.
things he wants to add.
Matt?
I would just add for a point of clarity, we've actually been with Zender longer than 2021. We've been with them substantially longer than that, and we do follow the county's competitive procurement process, so we do go out for RFP at a regular cadence.
How regular is that?
So I believe their existing contract is a 3-year contract with 2 optional 1-year renewals.
Sorry, it's backwards. I said it wrong.
And I'm sure they get those renewals very quickly. I'm just concerned about that. I just don't think we're getting the bang for the buck. And I want to explain I want you to explain where we get $800,000 from. That's a lot of money just segregated to North Walton, which is, to me, very segregated kind of tourism that we're doing.
So the reason we have that amount of money in the North Walton Reserve bucket is because we just haven't spent it. I mean, that's the simple answer, is we just
Well,
have not spent
where did it come from? Did it come from bed tax, or is that just in the?
North Walton bed tax, Mr. Morano.
It's North Walton bed tax dollars. So any dollars that we earn in revenues in that taxing district that we do not spend automatically revert to reserve dollars.
So how many years have we been collecting bed tax money in North Walton?
Since 2021.
And so it hasn't been spent, and this is the money that we have from that budget?
Correct.
I also don't think we should be spending all of that at one time as well. You know, we don't have our strategic plan. Where is the strategic plan? Why are we going like this when we don't have an arrow to get right to where we want to go? Where is the strategic plan? Those 2 consultants left immediately after the BCC meeting and the TDC meeting. They scooted out of here so fast. So where's the plan? Does anyone know?
So the strategic plan is a 6-month plus process. It's not just, they're going to come in and they're going to get everything together. So we are actively working on that plan still. We are finalizing, we're adding essentially the meats to the bones and the tactics and identifying, ideal funding for those strategic priorities.
So where are we on that plan?
We're still working through it. We're still finalizing the details, putting the meat on the bones, identifying the strategic priorities and tactics and
Probably
potential
not.
funding
Maybe
options.
with the staff.
So why are we spending $800,000, council, when you don't have a strategic
answer.
plan?
Barbara, I think that there's already a recognition in the strategic plan that, as Kelly, and we're not spending 8, I think the motion is to spend the 600,000. We are at ground zero, and we're still at ground zero on really developing and creating Authentic Walton. We can discuss the name. Kelly had a response to that, I believe. Kelly, if you would come up and maybe provide the response on where you are with Authentic.
So, as you know, we started out with Beyond the Beach, and that was because we were in the finding stages. Authentic Walton came from multiple research studies that we did with the people that live north of Choctawhatchee Bay, the people that work north of Choctawhatchee Bay, and the visitors that come to those people in that those visitors that come to that taxing district. We did numerous studies, and if you look back at all of the things that bubbled up, that's what they said. Those people were very authentic. It's not anything different than South Walton. It is a different visitor, though. You have to remember that the visitor for Authentic Walton is going to typically be a little bit older visitor. They're going to be interested in more historic things. They're also going to be interested in maybe more RVs and longer stays. And they're also going to be a stopover visitor, and maybe they're traveling from Orlando to, say, Columbus, Ohio. I don't know. We're still trying to figure that out. And so they're a completely different visitor than everything that we know about the South Walton visitor. The South Walton visitor is going to be that demographic that you see here every day. While, yes, there is some crossover where a South Walton visitor would do a day trip to Authentic Walton, typically a South Walton visitor, as you know, Amy, that stays in your property, or Mr. Taylor that stays in your property, is probably not going to go stay a week at the Holiday Inn when they're used to to staying in a 5-bedroom house on the beach. So that's why you have to differentiate. The reason there are 3 brands, at the beginning of we have to have someone to work for. The brand Walton County Tourism, that's who we work for. I work for Walton County Tourism. Walton County Tourism is a part of the Walton County Board of County Commission. That is just who I work for. South Walton is a brand, we consider it a place. Authentic Walton is a brand, and we consider it a place. There's 2 different demographics that visit those, so we have to differentiate between the 2 of them. Yes, we believe that there is some crossover, but we also have to talk to the visitor where the visitor is. The visitor for South Walton is one visitor, the visitor for Authentic Walton is a different visitor, so that's why it makes sense to talk to them differently. But we do promote them together as well.
Part of TDT money has been spent, for example, we're supposed to have an event center in South Walton. I don't know what process that's in. But North Walton's talking about an amphitheater. Has there been any thought of putting some of the bed tax money towards what they're trying to do in the amphitheater?
Barbara, I'm going to have to say, I don't think that this is, I don't chair a lot of meetings, but I don't think can we continue to have this dialogue? I don't know how this works.
Well,
We're well past the 3 minutes. Certainly, it's public comment. It's not public question and answer. That rule's the same at the BCC and that. If the chair wishes to entertain questions, you can, but the chair also has the discretion of when question and answer is complete. If questions are to the board and the board wants to answer them, that's one thing. Question and answer to staff is usually best handled outside of board meetings, but I'll defer to you, Madam Chair, if you want to continue this dialogue. But I would say we need to keep it on the actual topic, which is the specific funding request sought.
That's
Fair enough.
fine. I understand, Amy. I'm not going to put you on the spot. I just think we really need to look at spending that $600,000 in another way. So thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
I would like to respond to one other question, if that's possible. Chairwoman, when you talk about the $13 million that we give Zender, almost between 11 and 12 million of that is pass-through. Remember, they pay our bills for us. So when we purchase media when they purchase media on our behalf, we have to pay them. So anything that we do, they don't mark that up, they don't do anything, they just pay it on our behalf. So we actually did a whole study on how much that was, and Mr. Algren can tell you that, we established that, yes, it does look like a big number, but the majority of it is passed through, and if this council would like to see what that looks like, I do have that and can show that to you so that it's not $13 million that we're paying them.
Thank you. Okay, we do have a motion and a second on the floor. Oh,
Hi, Tabitha Howard. Actually, last night I was doing the same, and I took several notes about Authentic Walton, and I looked it up in the dictionary, and of course, it's not fake, being genuine, real, true, not false. Also, last night, I did attend the Defuniak Springs City Hall meeting, and there was discussion, the amphitheater was actually kind of brought up. So that needs to be looked into anyhow, how monies are being spent. But yeah, Zender has been a part of the spending for quite some time, because I recall back, I was just looking back at May 11th, 2021, when Jay Tusa was fired. And that was initiated over some things with the spending budget to begin with, because I went back prior meetings, and that was discussed because we were spending 40% of the budget was going towards that, or it could have been going for other things that the TDC could have helped the community. But yeah, I was also curious, what new audience will you be seeking out, and then what are you advertising with this 800,000 or the 600,000?
If you look close at the proposal, that's not what she's not asking to advertise yet. She's asking to
Well,
create
actually,
the advertising
it's-
that we will then push into the market. That's a big piece of it.
read-
It starts with research.
Right. These priorities include development and marketing assets such as photography, video, and merchandising, expanding our asset library also will allow us to pursue additional media opportunities that introduce and reinforce the destination to new audiences. So I was just wondering who the new audiences were and what you're advertising them.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. So that's what we hope to find out through research. So those are some of the things. Currently, the way we advertise Authentic Walton is to those same people that I was talking about earlier, people that are looking for the historical tours, people that are looking for a stopover place, people that are interested in what Authentic Walton has to offer. And again, Authentic Walton has a very different offering than South Walton, and that's why we differentiate between the two of them. Additionally, we are creating those assets so that we have something to put out there. Right now, a lot of the media is based on, the media dollars that we spend is based on the event grant program. The event grants themselves are funded out of South Walton, as they always have, but the media to push people to those events, anything of the advertising is funded out of the Authentic Walton budget, because those are the Authentic Walton events. So things such as Bayfest in Freeport, Lakefest in Defuniak, or Food Truck Friday, all of that is being paid for out of Authentic Walton, and you can see that. And we are putting that towards that drive radius of people that are interested in it. We're also looking at some things with Visit Florida, where they talk about vacation in your backyard, and they have some really good initiatives there that we would like to be a part of, but we need assets in order to be a part of those. And then also, we're looking at that natural aspect, because we do have Morrison Springs up there, and we have a plethora of water within the Choctawhatchee Bay, Lake Defuniak, all of the other lakes that we have up there, and Morrison Springs. So that's where some of the money goes.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the audience? Okay, we do have a motion and a second on the floor. The one thing that I would just note for the council is should there be consideration for tabling until after the strategic plan is finalized? That is coming relatively quickly. When is our next joint meeting with the BCC?
March 17th.
And that is to review the strategic plan?
That is correct.
Okay. I'm just, again, I understand there's a motion and a second. I just throw that out there for any additional dialogue among the council, for any consideration or thoughts on that.
Kelly, what's your timeline?
Well, obviously, my timeline is whatever you all would like it to be. We do have a strategic plan in place, though, that says from previous years that we're working off of, that says, building the brand. And that's what I'm trying to do, is build the brand. Again, if this is not what this body would like to do moving forward, I'm happy to do whatever you want to do. It's just as part of what I'm charged with, is building the brand. And in order to do that, we need these things to move forward.
Yeah, I do think that this does fall in line with our current strategic plan. And I look at it more as a 5-year investment. So, spending $120,000 a year to build the brand will only help the council, the department, be able to fund those projects when they are, like the amphitheater and other projects that could potentially be supported by the tourism department.
Okay. Okay, Jim, come on up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jim Bagby. I'd ask that you approve option B today, and I understand the strategic plan conversation, but you got to get started somewhere, and the strategic plan is not really going to affect what the pictures are you're taking. It may affect where you're promoting or something like that, if you decide to change your visitor area or whatever. But, you got to start out in B. I never put all your eggs in one basket, number one. Number two, you may have a rodeo up there in the future. You may have an amphitheater up there in the future. There are a lot of events that may exist in the next 5 years that will need additional photography, but if you don't have people coming there already, you won't build it. So I would say, the experience that we had with Visit South Walton, we were less than 1% recognition in 2013 through all Dallas, Atlanta, Nashville. By 2015, we were at 18% recognition, where people knew where South Walton is. Today, it may be 85% or 90%. So you got to start, it's a flywheel. If you understand the flywheel concept, you push it, you push it, you push it, it starts moving real slow, and then all of a sudden it picks up its own speed. We got to start pushing the authentic Walton flywheel to get it started. I agree, eventually we just need to have Walton, okay? Just come to Walton, and we can have all these little different things, because that means different things to different people. Probably don't need 2 different destinations, but we're not there yet. We have to build that authentic Walton so we can integrate it and have just one Walton. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I believe Mr. Billy Bazat is in the room, I believe, to talk about a funding request for the 4th of July parade in Grayton Beach.
Hey, good morning, and thank you for having me. I'll try to be brief. I'm Billy Bazette, and I'm a member of our Grayton Beach Neighborhood Association. We're not an HOA. We're just a collection of families and homes in Grayton. I think we have about 210 homes in Grayton and about 200 members, so it's very well represented by our group and our community. And what we do essentially is we get together twice a year. We really have a giant picnic. We discuss issues and pick projects out for our community that are helpful. We do a lot of landscaping, pick up trash. We put the name Grayton Beach back on the road. It was a 1940s aviation thing. And also, we have a parade. And the parade's been around Grayton for probably 70 or 80 years. It's been very organic. People essentially roll out of bed, decorate their vehicles, their bike, get their kids up. They meet in front of the Red Bar, which was the store. Whoever was there first ran the parade. It's a good time, and they'll do it 2 or 3 times around town, and that'll be it. And that's the way it's been for a long time, until recently. And about 5 years ago, Commissioner Tony Anderson called me and said the parade's gotten pretty big, and the county has called him, and they want a little more structure and organization, and we'd like your neighborhood association to take it over. So we reluctantly have taken on the responsibility of the parade, and I say reluctantly, we're really glad to do it. It's a historical thing, it's a fun thing, but it's become something much bigger than Grayton Beach. And we think last year we probably had close to 1,000 people come to town. And maybe it's because Grayton's cool and unique, I'd like to think that, but it also Seaside had a parade and they don't anymore. And people want to celebrate the 4th of July and they come to our little community and we're glad to have them. But with that comes a lot of responsibility. So we apply to the county. We have to go through a process to get a street closure, get county commission approval. We hire 8 deputies. We get $1 million insurance policy. We have our community members help lay out the actual route. We have a great partnership with Ocean Reef, who's very kindly prints the route so the people who are visiting know where the parade's going to be and where you set up and stage for the parade. Red Bar every year puts coffee and donuts out, even though they're not even open that day. So it really is collectively a community project, and we're glad for it. I'm here to tell you, Grayton's not destitute. We can afford to do it, but we think we ought to at least be able to request and seek some financial help from you all in doing this. I can't tell you how many tourists versus locals are there, but I have to say probably 50-50, if not more than that. We do it pretty much on a dime. In a letter I wrote you, I told you what we spent last year. It was around $2,500, and that's what I'm requesting this year. And, you know, we wouldn't take the money. We would go and spend our own money and then come back and give you the receipts and show you that we're being authentic with how and judicious on how we're spending the money. But in a nutshell, that's why I'm here, and I would appreciate at least your consideration as our community and as this parade, and I'll answer any questions.
I don't have any questions on the parade. It's a phenomenal event and so appreciated, I know, throughout the entire community. And like you said, I'm sure I think now, like, from Seaside, they walk to Grayton, they walk back to Seaside. So it's a wonderful event. I think the challenge that we're up against is there's been a lot of discussion this year on our event program, and then it's timing for me. And so I would love to fund it in our next regular round of event funding when the applications are, when we apply, but it's hard to make exceptions past that date on one-off situations. And I'll just let you guys comment on, we,
I had a question, just publicly. The request, is it for marketing, or is it for just sponsorship to help cover expenses?
It's we're required by the county when we apply to, quote, market it. Because we're asking for the streets of Grayton to be closed, we have to notify everybody who lives in Grayton that it's going to be closed, and I hand paint a sign and put it up saying the parade and it's going to be closed. We don't market it. Obviously, we don't need to market it. We've gone from a few people to a lot of people. And the expenditures really are, as I laid out in that letter, the cost, getting $1 million insurance policy, paying for 8 deputies to work on a holiday. Those things are just costs that we incur as a community, and we do it even though we don't think the responsibility lies with us. We think it's broader than that. And I understand the timing, and I don't doubt that you all have people who come with similar requests. I'm here to defend our request because I think it fits within the 4 corners of what you all do. And our community, while probably has more permanent residents than we've ever had before, has a significant amount of rental properties there. I own 2. And 4th of July is a big time, and a lot of community people come. They're going to come whether we have a parade or not, and we're not going to, as a community, say we're not going to be the people to be responsible for it, because if we chose not to apply for it, I don't think there'd be a parade, frankly. Or there'd be a parade, but it'd be one without permission. But to answer your question, it's not marketing, though.
Okay.
That's not what we're doing.
and that's a great clarifying question, because that means it would not be eligible for the event grant program. So,
It would be eligible for the new sponsorship program, though.
it would be.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, Jim Bagby spoke at our last meeting of a way when Ms. Pickett spoke to us about the Summit on the Circle, which was talk about authentic Walton, everything about that 4-day symposium, which is partnered with University of Northwest Florida. We unanimously approved.
I did not, I was, no, we did not unanimously.
Well, okay, but we did. And Jim Bagby said we can maybe come up with a hybrid program. Now, here was a program, a 4-day program that would be all about Defuniak, and our county commissioners denied it. So I don't know how authentic they want to be about promoting the brand in North Walton, because this is quite an event. It's still an event. It's still sponsored by the University of Northwest Florida. I was embarrassed that it got turned down. I'd never met the woman before, but when I heard about her program, then we've looked it up. We've met with her, with our marketing staff. We're going to Defuniak. So Ocean Reef, of course, will make a donation. We've called up Mr. Bozette. Ocean Reef bought Rivard. We have our building and 2 commercial lots right in Grayton Beach. We make shirts for our whole entire staff. The building's decorated. Our tables are set up for beverages, and it's just the most wonderful thing. But citizens come to us with really, really good things, the way we ought to spend this money. We're talking about $600,000. Yeah, we'll try to build a brand in North Walton. Your company's not in North Walton. My company's not there, and this is where the money comes from. And it's great. Build the brand. But it's a shame that we don't have some way to, again, approve something that we know. I mean, our company, of course, and I called up Mr. Bozette, and I said, I don't know what'll happen, because the county commissioners don't seem to be too interested in when somebody wants to do something so important in Defuniak, with the history, the culture, everything that the Chautauqua Society was formed for is what this is. Now we have the county put the restrictions on this parade. The county said you have to have deputies, you have to have insurance. Great thing. It's a great thing for the community, and it's too bad that we can't at least make a recommendation that we want to find a way to give this man the $2,500, and then let the county commissioners turn that down.
Right. May I make a suggestion? To me, it sounds like a great opportunity here. It doesn't conform to all the boxes that we need, but it does appeal to me that it's a life safety issue, and we support that for any tourism that comes in here, as we do dedicate dollars to that. I would think under life safety and promoting this program, it's a win all the way around to make this happen and give them the money.
And for me, it's just a consistency thing. After we went back and forth on the event grant program for, I don't know, 5 meetings, and we had turned multiple, individuals down, and then multiple individuals down, and then just when we have folks come back one at a time, I feel like it's not in good faith to those people that had already been turned down and applied, because we, it's just, it's a balancing act. That's why we recreated the program under the guidelines, and there's a timeline to reapply, and I just feel like that's the reason the other one, it was not because I didn't think the North Walton event was very worthy. I just felt like we were not in keeping with the position we'd already taken and the funds we'd already allocated.
Yeah, so obviously you have the community sponsorship program that's been initiated. It does not fall under this year's budget. Starts next October. While it does not help Mr. Bezette and his community this year, certainly if this council wished to approve it as part of that program, I have no problem if this council wants to take the position that they wish to declare that an inaugural event under the South Walton Community Sponsor Program dollars, and to motion today for staff to include that for what would be 2027 4th of July in an amount consistent with the amount that they will actually spend, if that's what they're asking, simply to offset their cost. Unless Mr. Algren or staff can tell me where we have money in this year's budget, we do run up against some of the statutory compliance issues. But that's one way you can at least go ahead and signify the intent to sponsor it in the future and to fit it in under our programs, but to the chair's point, remain consistent with the denials you've issued, because this is not an event sponsorship the way the other ones. It is a community event where they don't have to spend the money on marketing. So this would be right in line with the program y'all have created. The problem is that program doesn't start until 10/1 of this year. But that's one suggestion I'd have. Again, it doesn't help them this year, but it would help them in future years, and they'd know they'd have that commitment to offset their cost. Now, please don't come back with $50,000 it costs Mr. Bezette, because I don't know that that's going to get you there. But I mean, let's say next year's $2,800. Let staff work through that with them.
Yeah. Oh, somebody's raising.
But we need a motion at some point.
Oh, sorry.
I'll make that motion, what Clay said.
I'll second what Clay said.
Which is basically committing to the event
Yes.
for next year.
And annually after that, it'll be in our, yep,
And
okay.
if you want to touch base with me offline, we might have some interest in sponsoring.
For this year. Okay.
Okay, now we got a motion, a second on the floor. Public comment, Ms. Barbara Morano.
It's a great event. I was there last year, tons of people. You have a budget for the sheriff, don't you? Don't we have a budget for the sheriff?
No, we have reimbursement to the sheriff for money spent related to increased activity due to tourism.
Well, I think it could come from there, but something else is we have beach vending money, and Commissioner Drake's not here, but his assistant is here, his aide is here. And this is for Mr. Bezette. He can request, I guess, with the commissioner or talk to Matt about requesting the $2,500 for the beach vending fund that we have, that we put in for $1.5 million. It could be used throughout Walton County. This would be perfect. But I am disappointed, though, that we could not fund this through whatever reimbursement we do with the sheriff, because I think it's 10% of our budget can be spent for safety, and this is a safety issue.
But
So-
that's reimbursing the sheriff's office for money they spend. This is not a sheriff's sponsored event. He's hiring deputies on their days off to work these events. I don't think it's the same thing.
But the county's requiring them to do that now.
Well, because it's an event, I think that's probably more of I'm sure that the DOT's involved in that too, because you're closing streets down. That's a bit different.
So we're
I don't
paying the
think it's the same
sheriff
thing.
basically for what he does on the beach? I mean, what are we paying the sheriff for?
The sheriff is entitled under Florida law to ask for reimbursement for every dollar he can attribute up to a certain cap in counties of certain sizes, which Walton County falls under, for reimbursement of money spent to offset the cost of tourism so that those costs are not borne solely by the taxpayer. That's the purpose of the legislation.
So he's to offset tourism, so the parade is tourism.
I'm not going to debate,
Okay.
Ms. Morado, beyond Mr. Bezette just said that he can't quantify that number. And if the sheriff wished to ask for that cost, but I think Councilwoman Hafner is very correct. This is the money that is paid outside of standard police costs by any private event to have law enforcement work a private event under a special event permit. So it's not that the county is collecting that money, it's that you have to, if you hold a private event that closes roads, you have to provide sufficient law enforcement, security, and protection for the public outside of traditional law enforcement services. That's the whole point of that policy. And that's true in every part of the county.
Okay. Well, Mr. Brissette has the opportunity, I hope, to talk to Matt and see if they could work through getting money from the beach vending service. That might be something that they can do.
That's not within this board's prerogative, but certainly he's welcome to make any ask to the BCC he sees fit.
I think we'll set up a GoFundMe for Billy, and it could turn into millions.
Yeah. Jim Bag. Yes, I would ask one of you to make a substitute motion that you recommend to the BCC that they use the beach vending money to fund this, because that way you're protected. It's out of your cycle, it's out of your funding, it's out of your, but you're just making a recommendation that A, it's a great event, B, they should find a way to fund it, whether they use their money or some other money, some other stream, and then that way you acknowledge. And if they refuse, then Billy, I'm in for 500. If you can find, I think Amy said, the Madam Chair said she would, her company or somebody would fund it. But I would just recommend to the BCC that they fund it out of the beach vending. You're talking $2,500 for an event everybody loves.
I think the bill might need to give it 10,000. He probably send that to his office after this meeting.
Yeah.
It just concerns me. I don't think that's our purview to tell the BCC how to spend that money. As a council person, I'm always very leery to tell other government entities what to do with their money, frankly, so I'm a bit uncomfortable. I don't mind calling a commissioner and talking to them, but us giving a formal recommendation, I'm a little leery about that.
Well, you're
I
not
think it's
telling them-
overstepping.
We're all appointed by the county commission, and they're supposed to look to us for what do we think about.
But beach vending isn't our purview to manage that money. Like,
A-
that's,
Out of your budget. So I would
Yeah.
say, with respect to Mr. Bagby's position, I see no reason Mr. Algren cannot, at the time this item, if it is presented by Mr. Bezette or someone else from his community to the BCC requesting that, for Mr. Algren to stand up and advise the BCC that the council viewed this event favorably, but that due to the nature of your programs and the timeframes, the council could not fund it this year. They've expressed the intent to fund it next year. The conversation came up about beach vending monies. The TDC recognizes that's outside of their purview, but the TDC had issues funding it this year solely because of logistics, not because of the event itself.
Right.
He can then do that. I don't know
I
that a
can live with
recommendation,
that.
I am leery to say that it is within your purview to make a recommendation. The BCC has not asked you to define how to spend beach vending dollars. Now, if they want to ask you to do that, we certainly can, but there's no reason Mr. Algren cannot carry that exact message to them.
So if you take out the words beach vending and just recommend that they support it this year because you're looking for it favorably in future years, because they should fund this thing. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. Any other public comment? All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are down to electing the 2026 officers. Matt?
Right, thank you. So for this item, I guess we really ultimately have two ways we can go about this. I think, what I would recommend is we would feel comfortable staff level in having conversations with keeping our officers the same as we had last cycle, so Ms. Wise-Coble as the co-chair, Ms. Edwards as treasurer, and Mr. Moffett as secretary. I think we're good to move forward in that progress, but we also do have the opportunity to reconsider this at our next meeting if we'd like to wait till we have the full seated council.
No, I'm fine to vote on that.
Let's have a motion to approve that slate of officers.
I'll make a motion to approve the slate of officers.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we'll go into our director's reports. Marketing, Ms. Kelly Carter.
Okay, hello. So, kind of like I'm always up here, we're for South Walton, we continue to focus on Atlanta, Nashville, Birmingham, Houston, Dallas, and New Orleans. Those are the things that we heard during our quarterly marketing call. Each quarter, I have a call where anyone that works in any kind of marketing capacity that would like to be a part of it can call in, and we talk about what the tourism team is doing, what you all are doing, and what you all are seeing, and where you would like any boosts. And I continue to hear that, keep with our bread and butter markets and make sure that we're top of mind with them, because there are so many other options out there these days. And also looking at the way the booking window is, you're either booking long lead or you're booking right before it's time to come. So trying to figure out a ways to even out that booking window for the spring vacation that's coming up. Just in case you're not aware, the BCC did approve both grant program and the sponsorship program. Those will not go into effect until October 1, but you will see the application the end of this week go out. Our plan is to host a couple of meetings to, number one, explain the difference between the two programs, how the money can be spent, and also have workshops with individuals who want help filling out the application so that they understand what's being requested of them and what the information is and how each application is being evaluated. And as a reminder, this body agreed to evaluate those applications. Event campaign is continuing to run. We are running what we call the spring events right now. So everything that's going on either in South Walton or Authentic Walton is currently running through Spring Media, and those event grants are part of that. I was invited to attend a media event with Northwest Florida Beaches. That is our coalition that begins in Pensacola and goes to Apalachicola. I had to call it Cola to Cola. And we promote adventure tourism there. And there were 30 journalists and influencers in attendance. And I was able to have individual appointments with 2 journalists and 1 influencer talking about the things, mainly Authentic Walton, to be honest, because that's kind of more our adventure type of destination. Granted, there's plenty of adventure to be had in South Walton, but we're really wanting to get it on radar for Authentic Walton. My team also attended the New York Travel and Adventure Show with Northwest Florida Beaches as part of their booth, and we were able to speak as part of the travel roundup. So there were Destination Panama City, Destin Fort Walton, Authentic Walton, and us, and we were all able to talk about, while we all have the same beautiful white sand, we all have the same turquoise water, we do have different adventures available, and we're here to help you with what you're looking for. As you can see, that's Adventure Waits on the Roof, because that's the event that I attended, and that is, with me is Pensacola, Bay County, Destin Fort Walton Beach, and then I'm right there. And then lastly, on the other side, moderating it, that's Cece speaking. She's talking about how we participate in all of the things that go on and how Keep Walton County Beautiful and Authentic Walton and South Walton work together to make it a great adventure for anyone that would like to come to Walton County. So, a couple of programs that we have going on, of course, supplemental is always on, so if you need any additional supplemental advertising, you want to do anything, just let me know, I'm happy to help you with that. As I said, marketing event grants will open this week, the new community event sponsorship will open this week, and I know I say this every single time, but if you want to know why they didn't return, I have to know who they were that didn't return, so if you want to participate in the non-returning visitor study, that's still available. Tourism Talks, where you can learn a little bit about tourism in just 5 minutes, maybe a little longer if you watch the whole annual meeting, but that's up. Some of the next things you'll see up is I'm really excited, all of the partnering we've done with transportation and beach operations for the tram service. We're working on a tram service video that will be something that we can give over to you all to help your guests understand how to use the tram service and where the tram service goes, so that would be a lot of fun. And also, we all know Josh Irvin, but you may not know everything there is about Josh Irvin. So as we've done with all of the other people in the tourism department, we want to, get his take on what he plans for beach operations and where beach operations plans to go under his leadership. So we're going to work on some tourism talks with and get to know Mr. Irvin. You have a perfect guide at your seat. We were able to celebrate the Perfect Awards last week. Thank you for everyone who attended. It was a great night, and we were happy to celebrate with everyone. And that guide is in your seat. That guide was made completely in-house by staff, and they did a great job with that. On the web, we have the Walton County FL Tourism site. It's been updated. It has easier flow. If you have any questions about it, please let me know. It should have anything you need to know about what Walton County Tourism does should be there. We are in the process of updating the current Visit South Walton website. It hasn't been updated since around 2018, 2019, and as you all know, the life of a website's about 2 to 3 years with all the changing. So you'll continue to see that, and then on the web, you'll see a lot of new transportation stuff. So we really want people to understand how to use the tram, where the tram goes, and what's going on with that. So you'll see a lot of that as well. Moving on to some quarterly analytics review. One of the things that, I hate to just say numbers at you guys every month that mean absolutely nothing, but we did have about 312 total sessions on the site for the overall web performance, and you can see the channels that are promoting the most traffic. So that's all on the screen there, and you can look at it in your packet. The one thing I wanted to talk about is everybody asked what other is. Google can't even define other, so I'm not really sure what that is. So that's something going on there. Next. And then, obviously, people are really loving Ask Seymour, because any question you can ask Seymour. We're trying to make sure that that information's there, and you can see the traffic value is about $226,000, and we have about 666,000 keywords. And I love to look at the social sessions by day of the week, and if you look at those times where they were higher, you'll notice that was people preparing for fall break. That was during the Thanksgiving time when families are together and they're looking at planning those vacations, and then the end of the year when those families are together and they're planning those vacations. So we continue to see web traffic go up during those times, because we do know that that's when the families are together and they are wanting to promote those, or they're wanting to book those vacations. As always, if there is anything in the marketing world that you guys have some questions on or anything, I'm always here. And that's it for me. Is there any additional questions?
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you so much.
Nicole.
Good morning, all. Nicole Everett, Director of Communications, and Happy New Year, by the way. And it's my pleasure today to kind of give you a snapshot of what's happening within the communications side within Walton County Tourism. Now that we've consolidated to a every other month meeting, I'm going to give you a 2-month overview, starting with November through December of 2025. And we're looking at, you got it, okay. Scared me there for a minute. We're looking at 37 articles, print, digital, on social, a whole variety of articles and platforms that have generated almost 800 million impressions. with a earned media value of just under $3 million. And when we talk about that coverage that we get that is aligned with all of our marketing efforts as well, you'll see the highlights of November and December on the following pages and some snapshots as well. But you'll also see that a great amount of our coverage also includes proportionally authentic Walton in that awareness stage as well of bringing to bear the unique assets of that particular destination. And indeed, there are both destinations that we really, and both brands that we really try and highlight within the coverage that we do. So priority projects that we're working on, obviously we've discussed Walton County, the strategic planning session, our department working on public relations, press releases and coverage for many of the beach operations projects that have been undertaken these last few months that I know Josh will get into. We had just an excellent, perfect in Walton County Awards Gala the other night, but it's not just the award ceremony itself, as Kelly has pointed out, it's then the opportunity to promote all our awesome businesses and activities and events for Walton County as well through our Perfect Guide. And then working on the Connection e-newsletter and our website content that corresponds with what is being done with the updates on the websites. It also includes local content creation and imagery through our communications department as well to support that. So as with Kelly, I just came back from New York also, delayed on that wonderful storm situation last week, but attended International Media Marketplace, had just several appointments with media writers, travel writers, and journalists, all to really, again, explore what makes Walton County both South and authentic. Just an incredible place to visit and a unique place to visit. And attended with Kelly as well, the Northwest Florida Beaches Coalition media event, and talked to our, some of our potential writers as well. We have a FAM that we're working on that's going to happen April 16th through 19th, so we're putting the pieces and parts together on that as well. But it's really trying to take advantage of the direct flights that are underway right now through not only the direct New York flight from ECP, but also from VPS, and then also to Boston and Miami as well. So more to come, as well as kind of a cool initiative that we'll be talking more about later, and that's a Storyteller Bureau rollout, so that we'll be working on. And if we want to flip, there you go. You'll see some of the highlights from both November and December, and you can check these out on your own time, but you'll definitely see Authentic Walton is making its presence known. And then just again, just some of the highlights as well. You can find all these, by the way, on our press page at wcfltourism.com. Are there any questions I can answer for anyone? All right, thank you very much.
Okay, so Karen Morris, relative to our Group Sales and Visitor Center, is out today. So
It's in your packet for review, and we're happy to answer any questions if you all have any after you review that.
anything on that?
No, ma'am, I'm good.
All right, Josh.
Well, good morning, Josh Irvin. For the record, your new Director of Beach Operations. I think it'd be good to start off with some celebratory news here of the Henry Park Visitor Center. We did have a ribbon cutting there back on January the 15th. Had great attendance. It's very cold, but I was glad to see those that did beat the weather, and we really celebrated that. So that marks the first capital improvement project funded with the North Walton TDT. Very exciting to see that. There's a good picture of that post-construction, and then obviously us cutting the ribbon. We were able to recognize Robert Nelson's family, and of course the late Robert Nelson with this ribbon cut. In fact, in the picture here you see Robert's son Michael cutting the ribbon. So that was a neat thing to be able to experience. All right, we'll move on to the next one there. So Seagrow Regional Beach Access, I was actually familiarizing myself with some of the old folders that had been created when I was there as the beach maintenance manager. And we started this project back in 2018. So a lot of complications with this project, but I'm pleased to report that we are expected to open this thing in February, late February. Working on scheduling a ribbon cutting for that, hopefully at the end of this month. But there you'll see kind of what it looks like now. Still some finishing touches left on that. But again, a very complicated project and, 8 years in the making. So quite impressive on that one. Driftwood Road Municipal Parking Facility. So this is a project that started mid last year. We are working through some drainage issues right now, but hope to get this project going again. There are a couple of projects coming up on Driftwood and Ellis for road construction, so I'm not really sure with the timing of completion how that's going to fit within their construction projects, but we are hoping to get through with this project later this year and have it ready for whenever the Driftwood and Ellis road construction is completed. There's a little rendering of what that is going to look like, and then some construction activities depicted there on the right. Great Beach Community Center. This is another project that we're working on that is roughly 50% complete, hoping to have this up and ready for the summer season. They are making progress right now on the roof structure of this particular building. Very unique in the way that it's designed and the way it's constructed. I'm really excited to see this come to fruition. A lot of activity here. I believe the boardwalk is nearly complete. And then some of the site work is being completed as well. So another cool project that started some time ago, I think, when I was here last. So it's good to see these coming out of the ground and nearing completion. Kellogg Park Nature Center. This, again, is another project that was started some years ago when the property was deeded over to the county. There were a lot of conditions associated with that, one of which was a nature center. So we have an active construction contract on that. We issued the notice to proceed here recently and got the building permit issued. So we are hoping to have this one done by the end of this year as well. Nice rendering of that. Legion Park, we're actually scheduled for the TRC meeting tomorrow on this particular project, hoping to get our development order and then seek approval at the last BCC meeting of this month for an invitation to bid for construction. A couple new pickleball courts, kind of a refresh of the basketball court area, some pavement and parking, just really formalizing this park. It's an older facility that needs some refreshing, so I'm excited to see this one also come to fruition and hoping, fingers crossed, that we end up getting our DEP permit and getting through the TRC and getting our development order and getting this out for bid. A couple other upcoming projects. So Walton Dunes, I'm in discussion right now with the Bureau of Land Management to refresh our request on the development. I too am hoping to bring this back to the board at our last meeting in February for direction on how to proceed with this. This is a project that we were litigating. I believe we prevailed in that lawsuit and the appeals period for that has expired. So we are wanting to dust this back off and see what the wishes of the board will be as far as moving forward with that. Oyster Lake Beach Access, so this is the two Gulffront parcels there along Oyster Lake. I believe there's some pending litigation on this, so we're kind of stalled on that. And then we have the other property that was purchased back in 2023, where we're still kind of doing some internal planning on that. And I suspect here in the near future we'll be bringing back a task order to proceed with some design work there. Beach Tram, as we mentioned earlier, ridership is up in most cases. We are actually going to be rolling out the east-west tram system in March. March the 1st is our soft opening date. That is going to provide a tram from both Grayton A to B, as we call it, as we always have, but also running east and west from there, along with our parking facility on 393, with stops at Dune Allen, Fort Panic, Blue Mountain, Gulfview Heights, and Ed Walleen. So excited to see that come to fruition as well. We'll have 2 schedules, so the 6 to 9:45 will continue to exist at Grayton, and then we'll have shuttles from 10 to 7 running to those beach accesses. There's a good picture of our crew. It's growing. We actually have quite a few tram drivers coming online, obviously to support the expansion of the tram system. This is a side of the house that's completely new to me, so, you know, I'm still trying to find the valve on that fire hose that I'm drinking from on this one. But excited to see this. Tabby is our manager, and she very much has a good hold on this, and glad to have her on the team and to see her excitement about this particular program. And then lastly, the trash index. As you can see, trash collection is up slightly for both November and December. And, you know, as such, I would imagine that this will continue. So that's pretty much all I have for the updates. Anything from me?
Anything for Josh? I just want to say it's amazing, the one thing, and I know we're working on coordinating, just getting the word out to our visitors that we are accessible. This is the amount we've increased parking, and y'all have taken some great steps already toward that. We've talked about it, but this is exciting stuff, and it's much, much appreciated.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, let's round this out. Just a quick couple updates from me. As we kind of talked about a little bit earlier, you know, we do have our ongoing discussions with JLL and continue to move the ball forward on the strategic planning process. Actually have a call with them Thursday morning, so we'll provide any updates that come out of that meeting there. Just kind of looking at your schedules coming up. So we have the joint TDC-BCC meeting, that's March 17th, like I had mentioned earlier. So that will be at 1 p.m. in this room. And then your next regular TDC meeting is April 7th, 9 a.m. That'll be in Freeport. And outside of that, I just really want to take the opportunity to specifically, you know, thank our folks in the audience, Ms. Howard, Ms. Morano, Mr. Bagby. You know, we truly do appreciate them coming to our meetings and sharing, you know, their insights and input. You know we don't always get a lot of attendance, but I think it's important to recognize the folks that come out and share value in what we do. So wanted to thank them.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we are to council updates. I know I have something for today, and I'm glad you're here, Clay, because I'm extremely concerned about this Eastern Lake issue. We spent $9.5 million on property that we are now apparently with it. I mean, it's all here with the expectation that there would be restrooms. I mean, I know I dealt with some of the public concern and certainly went and rode the parcel. You can't even turn around at the end of the street. I had to take a left, go down, pull toward a gate, back my big vehicle out, pull out. And I just don't see how we spend $9.5 million of tourism dollars. Now, listen, with my Walton County citizen hat on, if Walton County wants to own it and we don't want to enhance tourism and we don't want to add tourists back there, then by all means, let's have Walton County purchase, you know, give us back our TDC dollars. But how is that even compliant with Florida statute? And I'll stop my little rant and turn over to you.
Sure, we bought the beach. The way I view that is, and this is the way it was declared, it was a beach park purchase. The statutory cap allows you to buy property for the purposes of a beach park or for beach park facilities. It does not require that a beach park have facilities. It doesn't require that a beach park have dedicated parking on site, bathrooms on site, or otherwise. So in my opinion, it is completely in line with what the statute allows us to spend money to purchase. Now, at this point in time, the county's action at its last board meeting was very simple. They killed the Eastern Lake bathroom project. That is, unless it comes up at this meeting, because it was tabled, it will officially die. Now, I can already tell you, I've seen early agenda drafts. I think there's going to be some additional discussion about that whole topic, along with the amendments that I'm bringing back to the ordinance regarding additional coastal dune lake protections and disallowing of vending on that property. But as of now, none of the discussions that I expect at this next board meeting, nor any of the discussions that have already occurred, say that it is not public lands or that the public cannot use that land to go to the beach. What the board's done is not create an improvement there. Now, I would agree that if the BCC takes steps to basically preclude the public from ever accessing that land whatsoever. Now, I'm not talking about a use restriction in terms of we're not going to develop it, so to speak, a preservation issue. I mean, you have passive rec lands that are preservation, conservation, or otherwise. But if the county would ever say, no, the public can't use that property, period, then yes, I think that at that point in time, it would be a question of whether or not it was a valid purchase as a beach park. But right now, the public can set up and take a chair down there, however they can get there. There is an access at the end of the drive right there between Sugar Dunes and the private property. That beach access was litigated successfully in both trial court and the appellate courts of the state to preserve that access. Now, that access allows the public to go straight down to the water's edge and hang a left or a right. This is the nearest public land if you hang a right at the end of that access. If you go back to the left, you got to get all the way down to Deer Lake State Park with that, or very close to it. So with that being said, ultimately, it is still available for the county to allow the public to use as beach property, and that qualifies as a beach park. I think that is consistent with what the TDC has done. The TDC money has been used to buy other parcels of land that have expanded parking or just attached on to the beachfront, and I think that is generally what the goal is. Now, certainly at the time, this is a scenario that, like every other property purchase, does not come before the TDC council. Now, if the TDC council has a concern about the dollars expended for this purpose, given the expected change, and I have not gone back and listened to all those meetings about the acquisition of Sandroy. If you are saying that you have and that there was a contemplation that bathrooms will be put there in those meetings, I'll defer to you. I know there were a lot of discussions about preserving that area specifically was the primary concern brought to the BCC.
You read, I'm sorry, Clay, but if you read the minutes of the meeting, there were certainly a couple of residents that stepped up and spoke about the concern. But I mean, everything clearly states. I mean, when they approved the purchase, they directed Brian Kellenberger to come back swiftly with the plans for the bathrooms. And since you raised that, because I heard that when relative to the TDC needing to approve purchases. My curiosity is, when I look at this resolution, and I was going to ask the question, did this purchase come before the TDC board? It did not. So
I don't know of any property purchase that has ever come before the TDC board to up or down vote the purchase of property itself. I know there have been discussions broadly about certain properties, the Golf Garden being the only one I can distinctly remember, because that had to do with the study for the placement of sports facilities or sports complex on it, but not for the actual up or down vote. That's never been the case, going back over a decade now.
And that's perfectly fine. Where I get concerned is a resolution that says, whereas the Walton County Tourist Development Council, our body is referenced throughout this resolution with not even the courtesy of a heads up that we're going to go out there and spend $9.5 million of bed tax dollars, and it would certainly look like it's on the TDC. And I feel the same way. Was there a resolution drafted on Grayton? I mean,
As far as I recall, the Grayton Grand purchase had a resolution drafted. No, not all property purchases require legislative findings. Some do, some do not. It just depends on whether the board is attempting to use money that requires that catch-all statute under 125-0104, I believe it is C, if an activity, venue, event, or service serves tourism based on the evidence of it being promoted to tourism, then it can be funded with tourist development dollars. But the other thing is, if it is adjacent to the bike path, To determine it to qualify as part of the nature center complex along the Dune Lakes, that requires legislative finding as well. So it really depends on the purpose and the nature of the monies that are being done. Typically, the resolutions that are brought forward by finance are simply done to confirm the use of TDC money for a portion of the purchase, one way or the other. Now, in terms of the nature center allocations of monies, those are to make it statutorily compliant to not fall under a beach park facility.
Well, spending that kind of money from the TDC, and then neighbors are always going to resist when they've had a big open parcel that they can claim as their own. And so that $9 million, the public needs to go there. We need to get them down on the tram system or sell it. And then let those adjoining neighbors see, let them put up their money, but just sell it for what we paid for it, and then let the neighbors work it out and the purchaser. But we can't spend $9 million and not make sure that the visitors don't have a chance to get down there. Turnarounds, we certainly do that. And naturally, they're going to be vocal. Who wouldn't be? But, no, people are coming, and we need to get them over there. Put up portalets, who cares?
Well, just to be clear again, the discussion that the BCC had and the issue that was laid on the table, subject to now being defeated or because it is not going to be brought back up with a request to move it off the table, it appears, would be for the Eastern Lake Bathroom Project. Now, if there's a discussion about turnaround, tram stop, or otherwise, those are all separate issues than anything the BCC took up. And I want to reiterate, nothing the BCC has done eliminates the ability of the general public who lives in that area or the tourists who come and stay at any of those areas from placing themselves on that property. The only thing it has done is eliminate vending on that property, saying it won't be one of the county MVP programs.
And all of this is well understood and well and good, but at the end of the day, we spent $9.5 million for nothing that is going to help tourism. And that's just a statement of fact, and that bothers me. But that is, I wanted to point out that I've been watching, and it was very, very disappointing to see that we spent that kind of money, and really, it doesn't appear at this point that we're going to have an opportunity to impact tourism with that investment. How many linear feet did you tell me it was when we spoke, Josh, of beachfront?
Approximately 330 linear feet.
Thank you. 330 feet. So I just wanted to bring that up, and then I'm just going to have to go ahead and roll and make one other comment and observation. We have an attendance problem at these meetings, and I understand why, and I think it is because we've really got to try and we continue to say it, but we have got to try to get on the same page with the BCC, because I think we have members of this council that likely aren't attending that because they don't feel like they're being heard. And my point would be, I just don't think if you're going to write a resolution to buy a piece of property, that's great, but you shouldn't reference the Tourist Development Council anywhere in the resolution. It should say the Board of Walton County Commissioners, because we weren't involved. Nobody asked our opinion. Nobody wanted our opinion, so don't list our body throughout a resolution that's then going to be signed and put into place. That was my little sorry hot button for today, and I wanted to put all that out there and on record.
Thank you.
Sure. Anything else? Any other council updates? Okay, do we have a closing? Any other public comments?
Barbara Morano, I didn't expect to come back up, but since, Amy, you brought that up about Eastern Lake, I was one of the most vocal people there to say to save the Dune Lake. Out of all the properties that you have bought, this is the only one that's on a coastal dune lake. If you looked at the $500,000 proposal that was going to be spent to look at where to put the bathrooms, they were going to go on the dune. If you looked at that proposal, you will see how much devastation would have been done to that lake. I have spoken to many of the residents there. I think they said that area can feed almost 1,200 visitors just from a neighborhood access. they get positive feedback from the tourists because there's no vending. If you know about vending, they take up the chairs at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So no one who spends $150 for a set can see the sunset. So they choose to go to Eastern Lake because they like that type of atmosphere. I am delighted that the Board of County Commissioners went ahead to save a rare coastal dune lake. That is something I think you all should be proud of instead of being angry that you're not going to pack it with bathrooms on the dune. I respect your opinion, Amy, about what you're saying, but you also spent $12 million to buy a dilapidated house in Grayton with a little bit of space that's only going to benefit, I don't know who in Grayton, because Grayton, number one, has a wonderful regional access, and you can walk to Grayton Beach. Grayton has a little exit, a free exit entrance to get into the state park.
And Barbara, I can respect your opinion as well, but first and foremost, the biggest thing I want to correct on that is no, I did not vote to buy anything in Grayton. And no, we did not, because we
That's
just had
true.
the discussion. It did not come before us.
Right.
I value our coastal dune lakes. I think everything that you said is spot on, but you don't spend $9.5 million tourist development tax dollars to buy something was not intended to support tourism.
Well,
Period.
I think it does support the tourism that is in the neighborhood beach access that 1,200 people go to, Amy. That's what
The same
neighborhood-
1,200 people, Barbara, I'm sure were going before. That's not a new, so what did we do with that $9.5 million that changed tourism for our county? That's the question that somebody, and nobody has to answer it for me, but that is the question that is in my mind as a responsible member of this council. What did we spend the $9.5 million for? What enhancement? How many more? Is there anything? What did we do? What did we get out of it?
Well, you bought an outfall at that point, and you protected the dunes. When you spent that money, that outfall was going to be owned.
But that's not allowable
The
under
county should
Florida
have-
statutes.
Yeah, they should have spent their own
The
money,
county should
not
have
this
spent-
money. That's the point, I think. It's not that I agree with you, I want to protect the dunes too, but
100%.
it was tourist development dollars. I think it was not appropriate to spend that money, I think is what Amy's trying to say,
Okay,
if that makes sense.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Anyone else?
I think you're right on our attendance. You know, we're appointed by the county commissioners. We're all experts in our fields, truly experts, entrepreneurs that really make the engine going. But we're not, it's okay. I mean, I understand it's the county and the county commissioners are elected and they can do whatever they want. Well, why come? I mean, you've heard me say we're marionettes, you know, and I like it because it gives me a chance just to use it as a bully pulpit, but we're not listened to. And so if you really have something important to do, you got to go do it. It's not going to happen here because we don't have any authority over anything. We can't even make a recommendation after today. We can't even ask the county. Our executive director should make the recommendation. When you make your report to the county commissioners, you should beg that the Grayton Park be funded, the Grayton Parade. You should beg for that for us. Talk to them. Say, this is really important. Say, we've got all these constraints on the grants program, on this, on that. We turn down people in Defuniak that want to have a 4-day symposium. We have a huge event. It's up to you, Matt, to really be a spokesperson for us because we aren't. Thank you.
Any other comment? Can I get a motion to adjourn? Second. All in favor?
Yes, ma'am.
Meeting is adjourned.
Oh, my gosh.
I know, yeah, let's blame it on, yeah.
Tim's getting wild over here. Have a great day, friends. Stay warm.
Stay warm.
Old. Well, true, but I'm almost okay with it